tongue from the Ukraine, and I got that my friend and left my home. May you never be alone in the Bible. God has way to see every wrong your time from the Ukraine.
My grandmother was born on the coast of Louisiana. She was the daughter of French immigrants who intermarried with local Native Americans. I grew up on her stories about shrimping and our family's oil rights lost along with stolen native land. My grandmother died in 2005, the same year I returned to the U.S. from covering the war in Iraq. I had never been to Louisiana myself, and I was left with questions I could no longer ask her. When I finally traveled to Louisiana, I found a bridge to my family's history and to my homecoming. I was assigned by a magazine to cover the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, and 2 years later, Hurricanes Gustav and Ike. After photographing war, documenting the chaos that followed a hurricane was like consoling an old friend. I felt useful. I no longer come to the coast only for disasters. Now I come here to learn what people love about life on the coast and along the bayous. I've grown to love these places myself. A way of life that sustained people was already threatened even before the Deepwater Horizon disaster. Channels dredged in the grasslands by the oil and gas industry and levees on the Mississippi River to control flooding caused massive coastal erosion. With shrinking wetlands, there's less buffer from frequent hurricanes and rising sea levels. The coast of Louisiana is disappearing, nearly a football field every 30 minutes. Residents are really worried this time that they'll lose everything. If a hurricane floods the coast while the water is full of oil, this already fragile, eroding landscape could become unlivable. The storms will come. Documenting these communities feels like a race against time. People are connected to this environment in a very emotional way. They grew up on boats. Children learn to swim in the bayous behind their houses. When families take vacations, they pack the kids into a skiff and go to camps in the marsh or to a barrier island. For these families, their identity, their culture is at risk. No one knows how long fishing will be off limits either. Many assume the fishing will be closed for years, leaving thousands of people with no income. It's a very psychologically taxing time. Like every story in the bayou, there is irony in the story of the oil spill. The oil industry itself is a big employer in the Gulf states, and not many people are happy about the oil drilling moratorium. If it's not fish that pays the bills, it's work in the oil fields. With the current ban on fishing, many fishermen I know are working to help lay boom or clean oil for BP. I'm surprised at how little anger I find towards the company among them. I guess there's some loyalty to the new boss in town, so long as that boss is paying the bills.
Thunderstorms first thing this morning. Next chance of rain will be on Sunday. So you should have a pretty decent day out there.
Those here who live off the land tend to live in the moment. I think it's how they've learned to tolerate uncertainty. Their ancestors have seen it all: displacement, wars, colonial powers, natural disasters, and they've survived. What I see now are people deeply worried about the environment, about the future. When these people start worrying about the future, then we should all be worried. For the people who live here, it's not only their land and homes that are at risk, it's their income and way of life, the foundation for their celebrations. For so many people I've met, this landscape, the water itself, is home.